You ever noticed how Prime Day feels like a low stakes heist? You're sitting there at midnight clicking buy on a router bit you don't need, feeling like you just pulled off a diamond job, only to realize your bank account looks like it's been through a wood chipper the next morning.
Speak for yourself. I saw you staring at that Makita 40V XGT impact driver like it was the holy grail. Did you actually pull the trigger, or are we just window shopping through a screen again?
Don't tell my wife. But those teal boxes are currently in the back of a delivery van somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. Look, the XGT line is finally hitting that sweet spot where the power doesn't just feel like a marketing buzzword. It's actually replacing the corded stuff for the heavy lifting. I used one on a deck project last week, and it drove 6-inch structural screws into pressure-treated lumber like they were going into warm butter.
Interesting. So the 40 volt is for the serious work, but I'm seeing a ton of people still swearing by the subcompact 18 volt stuff. Is the more power is always better crowd finally losing the argument?
It's not about losing. It's about realizing your forearms aren't made of forged steel. If I'm working overhead all day, I want a tool that weighs about as much as a sandwich. That 18V subcompact line is the king of ergonomics. It's for the person who wants to actually be able to hold their coffee cup without shaking at the end of the shift.
Which is a real concern for you. But hey, if people miss the marathon sale, you mentioned something earlier about open box deals. Is that actually worth the gamble?
Oh, it's the best kept secret in tool buying. People buy these massive kits on impulse, realize they have nowhere to put a 7-tool combo, and ship them back. The box looks like it's been sat on by a hippo, but the tools inside are pristine. You can pick up shop essentials for pennies if you're willing to ignore a little cardboard cosmetic damage.
So, moving from the hobbyist workshop to the professional bay, I saw a stat today that stopped me cold. Automotive technicians are apparently only billing about 4 hours of work in an 8-hour shift. Tiger, where is the other 50% of the day going? Are they just taking 4-hour lunch breaks?
I wish it were that simple. If they were eating hoagies for 4 hours, at least they'd be full. The reality is much more soul-crushing. It's what I call the ghost in the machine. You spend 20 minutes waiting for a parts runner who got lost in traffic, another 30 fighting with a service advisor who promised a customer a quick look at a mystery rattle, and 10 minutes just moving cars around like a giant, greasy game of Tetris because the shop layout was designed by someone who's never held a wrench.
So it's not a lack of skill, it's a logistics nightmare. If I'm a young tech listening to this, how do I stop my day from bleeding away?
You become a detective of your own time. I knew a guy who started keeping a tally on his toolbox of every minute he spent waiting for a part. At the end of the week, he showed the owner he'd lost 6 hours of billable time just standing there. The shop ended up changing their delivery contract. You have to understand the business of the bay. If you can prove that moving the tire machine 10 feet closer to the lifts adds $5,000 to the bottom line over a year, you aren't just a mechanic anymore. You're the most valuable person in the building.
It's the difference between being a worker and being an asset. It sounds like the ASW Performance Series is really leaning into that business of the trade mindset for 2026.
Exactly. Turning a wrench is the price of admission. Managing the flow, that's how you get the corner office, or at least the best bay in the shop.
Let's talk about the maker mogul side of things. It seems like the dream of selling handmade birdhouses on the internet is getting a bit crowded. The new 2026 playbooks from Zero and Taylor brands are pivoting.
The digital gold rush for physical goods has hit a wall. Shipping prices are climbing, and everyone's competing with mass-produced stuff that looks just enough like handmade to fool the casual buyer. The shift now is toward micro-consulting.
Hold on, micro-consulting? That sounds like corporate speak for talking instead of doing.
It sounds fancy, but it's actually very blue-collar. It's selling the how, not just the what. If you're an expert at TIG welding thin-gauge aluminum, you can spend 40 hours making one custom intake manifold to sell. Or you can spend 5 hours filming a masterclass on how to get those perfect stack of dimes welds and sell that to 500 people who want to learn.
So it's the expert creator model. You're saying the money is in the knowledge transfer?
Precisely. The local digital hybrid is where the growth is. Do the custom fab for your local community to keep your skills sharp and your reputation solid, but build a digital footprint teaching the world the niche secrets you've picked up. It's like having a shop with a window that opens onto the whole planet.
I like that. It's less about being a factory and more about being a lighthouse.
Speaking of lighthouses, did you see that pallet wood project on the Maker channel? The one with the yard branches?
I did. I have to admit, I usually roll my eyes at pallet projects. It's usually just, here's a crate I turned into a slightly uglier crate.
Trust me, I've seen enough rustic pallet wine racks to last 3 lifetimes. But this was different. They took discarded branches, just stuff you'd find after a windstorm, and inlaid them into the pallet slats, then flooded the whole mess with clear epoxy.
It looked like a cross-section of a forest floor. It was actually stunning.
That's the magic of stabilization. You take something that should be in the fireplace and you treat it with enough respect and resin to turn it into an heirloom. It's the ultimate trash to treasure move. But on the flip side, I also saw that $220 end grain cutting board build this week.
Ouch, $200 just for the raw lumber?
Yeah, and half the internet was screaming about the cost. But here's the reality. If you want a legacy piece, something your grandkids are going to be chopping onions on, sometimes you have to pay the quality tax. You can't make a Rolls Royce out of cardboard. That kiln-dried walnut and hard maple, it has a soul. You can feel it when the plane hits it.
So there's room for both? The guy picking up sticks in his yard and the guy buying premium exotic hardwoods?
There has to be. That music project out of Michigan, the Sandbar Point snare drum, they used reclaimed pine from the Great Lakes. It's technically construction lumber by modern standards, but because of the age and the minerals it soaked up in the water, it has an acoustic ring you couldn't get from a brand new piece of expensive mahogany. It's about listening to the material, not just looking at the price tag.
It feels like there's a common thread here. Whether you're trying to bill more hours at the shop, sell a course on welding, or make a drum out of a sunken log, it's all about finding the value in the stuff other people are overlooked.
You hit the nail on the head. We spend so much time looking for the perfect situation, the perfect tool, the perfect wood, the perfect job. But the real craft is in the adjustment. It's in taking the 4.2 hours of billable time and figuring out how to make them 5.2. It's in seeing a pallet and seeing a tabletop.
So what's the homework for the listeners this weekend, besides hiding their Amazon receipts?
First, go look at your dead time. Whether you're a pro or a hobbyist, find where you're leaking minutes. Second, if you've got a skill, write down 3 things you could teach someone else about it. That's the start of your business plan. And third, go outside. Find a weird-looking branch. Bring it into the shop. See if you can't make it look like it belongs in a gallery.
I think I can handle the branch part. The business plan might take a little more coffee.
Coffee is a recognized shop tool, Alex. I'll allow it.
Thanks for the permission, Tiger. We'll be back next time to see if your Makita shipment actually arrives or if you just bought a very expensive box of rocks.
If it's rocks, they'll be the most ergonomic rocks you've ever seen. See you in the shop, everyone. Stay gritty.